Welcome back. We have in the studio Daniel Bolen. He's the director of the Boone County 911, and there's some changes going on down there that we want to kind of talk to him about and maybe give some information on what 911 does for people who don't really know. Welcome to the show, Daniel.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much for being here. So, I heard through the grapevine that 911 is going to be consolidated. Has that happened?
It is in the process of happening now.
Which means what?
Currently, the way it's set up with 911, someone calls 911, a dispatcher there will answer it. If it's a fire call, they'll dispatch all fire departments. We dispatch all 15 fire departments in the county. But if it's a law enforcement call or a medical call, we'll verify information, transfer to the proper agency, Harrison Police, Boone County Sheriff, or EMS. We finally got the right people in place to bring those dispatchers together. So there's no more of this let's call it call transfer. So if you call 911, you expect to get help. But if you call 911 and you're telling that dispatcher, you have a medical emergency, and then she's transferring you to EMS and you're repeating it again, well, one, it wastes time, and
response time can be a lot quicker.
it's making the process longer. So what we've done with the right people in place now, with the new police chief and the new sheriff and the county judge Robert Hathaway, we got to where we're going to bring the PD and the sheriff's office into our dispatch. So those dispatchers will come to our office and we'll dispatch law enforcement from there. So if the 911 call comes in and you're needing an officer at your house or someplace, we don't have to transfer you to that agency. We'll just dispatch you from there.
So, so if somebody calls the police direct, where will that call go?
That was going to come to us.
It'll still go to 911.
Yes, they're going to maintain that admin line at Harrison Police and at Boone County Sheriff's Office. It just comes into our side, and it'll be answered the same ways it always has been. No changes there. You can call direct or you can call 911. Either way, it's the same group of people doing the same job.
What about fire and EMS?
Now, fire, we've always dispatched fire, and we will continue doing that. So if it's a fire call, we're going to continue dispatching the fire department because we don't waste no time on that. You call your house on fire, you're still on the phone with us, and we're dispatching the fire department. On the medical calls, we will still transfer to EMS, but we dispatch the first responders. So it's Omaha, Red Hill, Bergman, all these fire departments have their own first responders. We'll transfer the call to EMS so they can get an ambulance, but we still tone out the first responder.
Gotcha.
Okay. All right.
So how long have you been the director?
A little over 5 years.
Okay.
Okay. So the way it was working before, it took longer, I guess?
If you called 911 before and you were saying an ambulance because, whatever medical issue you had, you'd call with 911. Our system is a next-gen 911 system, so we automatically see where you're calling us from. We know where you're at within roughly 3 to 8 seconds. We can visually see this call is coming from this location. And you'd say, hey, I found my wife, she's having trouble breathing. We'd verify some generic information. Is this your address? This is your phone number? This is your name? And it's trouble breathing. She's 73. Stay on the phone. We'll get EMS on the line. We'll transfer to EMS, and then we'll tone out that first responder.
Now, when EMS takes over, will they be on the phone with that person too?
Yes. At that time, when we hit that button, EMS picks up the phone. You'll hear.
So it's a party line or two?
No, well, yeah, kind of.
Sort of, yeah.
We're just flash hooking a call. That's what we're doing.
Okay.
The caller hears a click, like we hung up. They'll hear silence. But then they'll hear the pick up, and EMS or whoever will say, whatever, North Arkansas EMS service, emergency. And then you'll tell them the same thing. By this time, we've already dispatched a first responder group. So at least they're en route, and then the ambulance service will go through their process. And the same for how it was with the sheriff's office or police department. You call needing a cop at your house for a disturbance or a prowler. You call 911. We verify generic information, transfer you to the proper law enforcement agency. Well, we're taking that away. I mean, now it's going to be, the call will be dispatched by the 911 dispatcher, or all 3 agencies will be in the same room at the same station doing the same job.
Okay.
Okay.
Are there any 911 calls that a person shouldn't call for? Like there's trash in the
That's a
yard
good-
or?
We get a lot of.
I'm sure you've got some stories.
Yes, we have. If you got trash in your yard or an injured bird, there's nothing we can do about that.
Yeah.
Don't call
Right.
911. 911's for emergencies, life-threatening emergencies, or
Property.
property stuff.
Yeah.
You got a car accident, something like that.
Right.
You can call 911, but if it's because there's a guy walking down the street, I mean, is there an
Yeah.
emergency there?
Yeah.
Is that life-threatening?
Right,
Because
right.
what that does is it ties up that 911
Sure,
emergency
yeah.
line, and
Yeah.
we have multiple 911 emergency lines. We don't just have one. I mean, you can call. I
Mm-hmm,
mean, we've had calls where 17 calls come in at one time on the
Right.
same accident. So, but you are tying that line up because that dispatcher does have
Right.
to address that call.
Right.
And if there were an emergency, I mean, that person
could
may
be
not be
tied
able to
up.
get
Yes.
through. You don't want that
Okay.
to happen, yeah.
And we have our admin lines. If you can call an admin line and just report something that's something that's not a real emergency, you can call and report it. And
Yeah.
or we'll advise you, like if a parking lot wreck, you get up there to Ozark Mall, you get two people have a little fender bender. Well, there's no injuries, no,
It's not really an
no-
emergency.
no real emergency.
Yeah.
We'll either get PD on the line for you, or we'll advise you PD's phone number so that you can get that done.
But those are okay to use 911 because people probably don't know the police number necessarily off the top of their head.
Yeah, we don't ever want to tell no one not to call 911.
Right.
If you think you have an emergency, call 911. Those
Okay.
dispatchers are trained to appropriately handle that call.
Okay.
In Boone County, has all of the addresses been changed so that when someone calls, it goes to that address?
Yes.
I know in Newton County, have they completed that?
I can't speak on
transfer? Yeah.
Newton County,
I know there's some first responders that go into Newton County,
Yes.
so I know that there's some,
the addressing under
help
the
there.
law was, when 911 took over addressing, we went and started addressing stuff. Now, there's still some mistakes in Boone County's
Right,
addressing
right.
from years ago, and as we find them, we try to fix them. But if you have to go change someone's address, they got to change that with their mortgage company, their insurance
Sure,
company,
yeah.
Oh,
their
right.
drivers, all
Yeah,
this stuff.
yeah,
Now,
yeah.
we can do it, and we'll make it, it has to be done. If it's a life-threatening problem, we'll make it happen. But we try to work with the person, and there's no need, they've been there 15 years,
sure, yeah.
and now they got to go change their
I
mortgage and
didn't
all
know
that.
if it was, I know that Boone County has changed everything over to the 911.
Yes.
I didn't know if the
Especially
other
like in
adjoining
rural
counties.
parts.
Yeah,
Yes,
rural
and
areas,
we
yeah.
do. Our addressing is very good. I mean, our mapper, Bob and Robbie Yarbrough, they put a lot of time into making sure our address points are correct, updating all that information, updating the correct first responder, fire department districts, and the lines, and automatic aid. There's so much that goes into that. So when that 911 call comes in, that dispatcher is seeing it on her map. It's on a screen. She's looking at it.
Gotcha.
It tells her, 123 ABC Road, Bergman Fire
Yeah.
Department. Automatic aid, yes. Automatic aid could be Harrison, for
Okay.
example. But no,
Is
Trying
it-
to make it as
Yeah.
useful and
Yeah.
streamlined as possible.
yeah, because she's trying to handle that call as quick as possible, and the information she has on her screen is cutting down the time that she's having to manually look
Yeah.
for something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything you want local residents to do with their address, like put numbers on their
The-
mailboxes, or
We
to better?
Identify.
When we assign an address, we try to tell everyone, you have to put your address on the front of your house, on your mailbox, 3-inch letters, reflective letters. Because
Yeah.
especially out in the rural areas, you send a ambulance or a deputy sheriff out there at 2 o'clock in the morning, and your address ain't visible on your house, your
Right.
mailbox, it takes them some time to find that address. And
Absolutely. And I know that your house looks different at night than it does in the daytime. When
Yes.
somebody says, when they're calling 2 in the morning, says it's a red house with
Yeah.
a white roof or whatever, and you're driving and it's 500 feet off the road,
it's
Right.
hard to see.
yeah.
You
I'd
know,
even recommend people turning every light on in the house if you have an emergency.
Yeah.
if that comes down to something like that, we
Yeah.
can do that, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, we appreciate you coming by.
Well, thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
I'm glad that 911 is progressing, and it's gotten to the point now where, like you say, you can call and they've got a map and they know exactly where you're at, well, to some degree.
Yeah, some degree. For the most part, they can locate you real quick. We still do get a few phase 1 calls where it's a burner phone or a phone that
Oh,
doesn't
okay.
have minutes, or it might be deactivated, but that phone can still call 911.
Yeah.
Kids like to play with those. We'd ask that if you got a toddler playing with a phone, you know, if they call 911 with it, stay on the phone with us, because we
Yeah.
got to try to find that phone.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
'Cause-
It's not that you're making the call. You got to stay on there until the. Don't they want you to stay on until
Yes, until
someone
that-
arrives at the residence?
Well, what happens is, say if you call 911, you pocket dial 911, or these iWatches now, if they say 911, they will call
Oh, okay.
911.
Okay.
Most generally, we ask that, you know, if you hear us talking, because we're listening in the
Right.
background,
Yeah.
trying to determine, is it a domestic, what kind of situation is it, or is it just someone cooking dinner and talking and they just accidentally called 911?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, then you got to send an officer to that address to verify there was no emergency. We get a lot of
Oh.
kids that will call 911 and just, you know, toddlers, babies, they got to
Which
hold
takes
it.
precious time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course, you know, they ain't giving the phone to their parents. So, you know, we can tell it's a kid just talking and it's a 911 number. We know it's an old phone that's just deactivated and the kid's playing with it.
Yeah.
But if it continues and it keeps calling 911,
Oh, gosh,
it
yeah.
keeps tying up that line.
Yeah.
So eventually, at some point, we'll have to send an officer to that address to advise the parents to get the phone away from the kid.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this is all great information. We appreciate
Yeah,
you
thank
coming
you.
by.
Well, thank you, sir.
If something comes up at your department, you'd like to get the word out, please let us know.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll be talking with some people from the Ozark Arts Council and the Lyric and finding out what's going on down there. It's big things going on. We're getting back to normal, right?
As best we can.
We're
You
walking
bet.
slowly, but we're getting
Yep.
back to normal. Stay with us.